Good evening to all, and thank you for everybody who has joined, and thank you to everybody who is watching this on our social media channels as well. Without any further ado, it is our absolute pleasure to have Dr. Chintan Vaishnav with us for the inaugural session. Before we begin, I'll give a very quick introduction about Dr. Vaishnav. Dr. Chintan is currently the Mission Director at Atal Innovation Mission Niti Aayog, Government of India, which is a flagship initiative under Niti Aayog that aims to foster innovation and entrepreneurship in schools and society at large. Dr. Vaishnav is also the academic director at the Tata Center for Technology and Design at MIT. The center was founded in 2012 to address challenges of resource-constrained communities with an initial focus on India. Interestingly, and sir, I hope you don't mind, I took it from your LinkedIn, where you quote yourself as an engineer who is broadly trained to understand human as well as technological complexity in large socio-technical systems.
First of all, let me say greetings to everybody who's here on this call and also on YouTube. My apologies, we couldn't do this 2 days ago because I had to travel. This is a very, very worthy initiative in my mind. I am by no means an expert, but I am certainly an enthusiast and somebody who wants to do what, from my perspective or vantage point, I can do for the artisans. I'll just share with you very quick some thoughts that I have about how I see the opportunity for when it comes to artisans getting included into the innovation ecosystem of India, broadly speaking. I say this as somebody who I'm an engineer, but I also have a degree in arts. So arts has been a part of me all along. So one of the most appalling things for me when it comes to the artisanal sector and what I see is that it is facing one of the greatest market failures in the sense that see, one form of market failure happens when someone with very high skill receives one of the lowest wages or returns, right? And in this sense, the case of our nation's artisans is like one of the gravest. This is the population that has the highest skill, and it has often very low returns. Market failures in other domains, right? All of us have seen this for teachers, for example, because for years together, on one hand, we had a culture that very highly valued getting educated. On the other hand, we said that, teachers, who cares about okay, let's we will not pay them as much as we'll pay a doctor or an engineer or a lawyer or whatever, right? What has it? How has that? What has happened from that? What is the good teachers who should receive very handsome market wages run private classes because they know people are willing to pay them. Only thing is the system may not be willing to pay them. So like that. So I think that those distortions. Teaching and learning is more widespread because all students have to go through their 10th grade and 12th grade and then go to colleges and so on. Artisans don't have that luxury of having that situation, that treadmill, the train that is ongoing. But artisans have a similar failure. I mean, there are many of them who are so highly skilled and yet so poorly paid. And so that I think we have to fix, I feel, if we can collectively do Digital world is a great avenue for it, and we could talk more about that. But I was thinking about this. Fundamentally, what's happening here in terms of sort of the the well-being of an artisan. One is that valuing art involves emotions, right? That's one part. This is not like saying I have a pain and I need a medicine. It involves emotion. That's the first thing. Second is invoking, emotions needs very high level of sophistication given how complex today's markets are. This may be a very strange statement that I've just made, that it needs very high level of sophistication, invoking emotions. Because at one level, emotions are available to all of us, right? And in a home setting, you probably would, if you have children, for example, like I do, you would probably say, oh, invoking emotions is easy for them. But invoking emotions in a market setting is hard because attention spans are really, really small. Budgets are really, really small. And therefore, even to strike a nerve, it takes a lot of money to get there. One of the examples, it's a Jaipur. Many of you know, and I hope these friends don't mind me quoting their example. I haven't asked them, but many of you know Gopal Saini and his daughter Garima Saini, the Blue Potters. And I was at their shop the other day, and I was spending time with them, and they were telling me that they were giving me an example of them having gone to New Mexico once for an international fair, and they were saying that this international fair, they were teaching people that those people were teaching artisans that don't talk about the price of your piece. Talk about what it takes to make it, how it is, how intricate these things are, what has been the history of this art and all that. And it left me, and she was saying that, ultimately when somebody paid $3,000 for a piece or whatever, and then they felt that, wow, they paid $3,000. They said the organizers came and said, oh, you sold it too cheap, right? And because we are that developing the emotion or generating that emotion is a very hard skill to learn. People like Apple have learned it. So the point is, valuing art involves emotions. Emotions are hard to invoke, and but I think the digital space probably lowers the cost of invoking emotions and reaching out to a lot of people and so on. So I think this is a tremendous opportunity. So on my side, I feel that as Atal Innovation Mission and myself personally, we feel committed to doing what we can to link the ancient arts of India to at least three things. Right. First is to modern design thinking and innovation. Right. These people in some ways have been doing design thinking all along. They've never called it design thinking, but a lot of people are excited about design thinking. So linking these two, so the ancient arts and modern design thinking and innovation. Second, linking ancient arts and modern manufacturing techniques and materials, because that's where the drudgery, the costs, all of that is. That's where the battle between the man and the machine is, right? And third is ancient Indian and modern marketing mechanisms locally and globally. And so actually on that third point of linking with modern marketing mechanisms locally and globally, I feel I'm really excited that AIC Catalyst is spearheading this area of work. And I feel like we will learn a lot from your endeavors in terms of what types of business models we are going to discover that will make artisans not only make art not only viable, but will make it flourish in a way where we can kind of overcome that market failure between very high skill and very low wages that I was first talking about. So those are a few thoughts. I'll share what I know, and it may still not be an answer to your question, but still we'll conversation going. So linking a story to what you are trying to sell definitely appeals to people, at least a subset of people. It's not going to appeal. It may not. It will not appeal to all consumers, but it will appeal to a subset of consumers. And that subset, if so, one way to think about it is that if that subset pays a higher margin, then you sell to that subset, right? But it still feels like the large majority is going to argue that I don't really care about how much the artisan gets, type of right. That this hasn't become a norm. Where the average reaction would be that is the artisan getting something in this? If you go to Europe, for example, you still feel that people are pretty conscious about preservation of arts and crafts, partly because of a great deal of effort by local governments and all that to make visible sort of efforts to communicate how important this is and so on. And even those places are under tremendous pressure because of global competitiveness. They have the buffer, more buffer than we may have, right? In terms of sort of the financial buffer to patronize more. And there you still feel that when you visit, you still feel that average consciousness is thinking about what is in it for the artisan. That's not there in many other parts of the world. And even the many other affluent parts may be very utilitarian, so it may not be. So we definitely there. I think that we definitely have to do more efforts, and digital media makes it easier to do those efforts. Is what I feel. This is not about artisans alone. I mean, farmers. Take farmers. Do we ask a question? How much did the farmer get when I had today's meal? We don't ask that question, right? So it's almost like one has to kind of flip this around, and one has it feels like one may have to approach it to say, yes, as an artisan, I also want your living room to look better, and here's how I think your living room would look better. So one would have to speak their language as opposed to speaking them expecting them to speak your language, right? This is something I want to this conversation. Sorry for a long answer, but this conversation brings me to one very deep observation that once a very senior faculty at IIT Bombay is a friend who passed away some years ago. He related to me that, oftentimes it feels like we pride ourselves to say, no, no, I'm not going to bend. It's they will have to bend, right? And be my way or whatever. And he was saying that if you really look at some of the most wildly successful people, they have kind of held on to something very fundamental that they, but on most other things, they have said, I will play to you. It's okay. I'm not trying to teach you what I have. Let's look for what you want. Let's work with it, right? For instance, people often, and I'll stop with an arts example. People often say when Pandit Ravi Shankar, for instance, played, people would say, oh, he's playing to the galleries, right? He's not playing the purest form of Indian classical music. Sometimes people criticize Zakir for it because he makes those different sounds of the tabla, and he has his mannerisms and all that. But when some years ago, I happened to take some classes with some sessions which Zakir Hussain was teaching. It was an open public session. So, and I realized that, and he kept saying that, don't do what I do. I'm doing this because I'm trying to keep the audience engaged. You learn these hard things that I want you to learn, because you can always do those easy things. But so then I realized that if I, as a music lover, feel that he's making a compromise, how much of a compromise that he must be making and feeling, right, inside him. So this, I think, we're talking about some psychological. So to me, I feel that schools of thoughts can't exist in vacuum.
Right.
Schools of thoughts exist in contexts.
Right.
And objectives, this is not in some ways an artist question related to artisans alone. It's a question related to any product where there is livelihood, and
Right.
where there's all products have the quality issues, quality, etc., right? Now, if you're, and then you could say that, even the brand, again, people talk about, for example, iPhones, saying that, they're able to charge this premium because they've created a hype that I am cool if I have an iPhone, etc. But underneath that, this is a damn good machine, right? First and foremost, if this was not a damn good machine, there would be no question of creating a brand like that. So that is now which pathway to go. Again, as I said, answering it in without the context is hard. If a high margin sought after brand is your goal, then go after that. I think, to me at least, there is no silver bullet here. That's it is because what is your selection? If you're an entrepreneur,
Right.
if you're an entrepreneur, there is certainly no silver bullet to me, because see, in your example of Jaipur rugs, the one part of the sentence that was really important was that they are able to do both over 40 years, underlined. So the question is, why did they I would hazard a guess. They didn't start with doing both simultaneously. And what they chose to do first is dependent on the selection mechanism. The selection mechanism is the market, right? So as an entrepreneur, you actually don't have much choice. You can experiment with both, and whatever the market wants, you will have to do. Now, if you are, let's say, your idealism tells you that you should do this, a low margin, high volume, lot of employment type of work. That's your real desire. But your attraction is in select items that are high margin and few people want to pay more for it and all that. You'll have to do that. And then come to your ideal, once you have the deeper resources to underwrite the period for which you will become that high volume low margin player, right? So your desire, if that's your sort of inner desire, it's not going to extinguish. Hopefully you can come back to it, but initially you will have to let the market be, which is your selection mechanism, be your practical guide. Yeah. Is how I think about it. I have definitely faced this in my own work, in the startups that I have done, where all of the founders deeply deeply committed to social impact, and yet realizing that getting to social impact over 2-3 years of losses is not the right starting point. The starting point is, this is a product that gives us a certain amount of, can give us certain profitability in certain sector in a very short time. We should take that profit and then go there. So I don't know. I mean, comparing agri and handicraft is difficult because one is one caters to a basic need. We all have to eat. But for entrepreneurs, there is a tremendous opportunity in the handicraft artisanal sector. The transaction cost is initially high because the coordination cost is high. It's all, it can be a very fragmented experience to bring people on board and have what one would like to believe as a contract between themselves and the and I think on the side of artisans also, I mean, I'll share with you one. I mean, I am in no position to really tell you the root cause of why this is this way, but I can share with you my experience of working with artisans in the last year plus. I don't know if I've mentioned this to this crowd. This mask, have I told you about this, Dipanshu?
No, I haven't heard about
No.
it.
Okay, this mask is a billion social mask. Okay. We built this, so it has a N95 filter inside and a cotton sleeve outside. The cotton sleeve is built by artisanal groups, and they are standardized in terms of the 40 count, 110 GSM cotton. The elastic is standardized, the design is standardized. It has a trademark called SHG 95, which self-help group 95, etc. This we created billions. We created billion social masks, myself and 4 other classmates, in March of 2020, when we knew that after Wuhan that this is going to be a global pandemic, right? And what we tried to do was we tried to bring scientists and artisans on a single platform where we built and tested this mask at NABL accredited labs for particle filtration, bacterial filtration, breathability, all of that. And then we said we will make the filter centrally. We will not keep more than cost plus transportation for the filter. And then artisanal groups will sign up with it. Seva, Selco, Tata Power, CSR. Several of them have signed up. And we will supply these filters to the artisans and provide training, and they can build cotton sleeve and enclose the N95 filter in it, and they can sell it. An artisan building a cotton mask can get 1.5 to 2 rupees per mask. In this mask, they can get 10 rupees per mask. And if they are willing to sell the mask, even the retailer's margin can go to the artisan. We did not appreciate when we started this at all as scientists that the hardest thing is going to be market linkage for an artisan. We thought the market linkage will be sort of already in their control, right? So we actually had to spend a lot of time doing market linkages. Other thing that we also realized was that quality control in such a distributed setting, because we were now building in 10 states and all of that, extremely hard it was initially to build a culture of quality. Our initial rejection rate was something like 15%, something like 75% initial rejection rate, because we were so stringent about the quality. Some of the artisans left us because they said, you're asking for too much quality. And it took us that building that culture. This was several other very capable people worked on it and built the culture. They built these videos. They appointed artisans who could percolate the culture. All of that. Finally, we have now 5% type of rate and rejection rate. And as of last week, this initiative has. By the I should be also say this to put it clearly, I get no money by doing this, just so we know. So I'm not trying to sell it. I get zero money out of it. But what as of last week, some 125,000 artisans hours of work has been done. 125,000 hours of work. But we realized that for entrepreneurs to meet, so we were entrepreneurs, they were artisans, right? So you are asking this question. For entrepreneurs to meet artisans, in our case, we had to put in a lot of effort on many things that we had assumed exist. Market linkages exist, culture of quality exists. It existed in pockets. I'm not trying to say artisans are wrong or anything like that, but it didn't exist and as wider sort of a number that we had expected. So we had to put in a lot of effort. It generated it supported more than 1,000 families through COVID, so the impact was good, right? But we also realized that we have to do something. Any entrepreneur will have to building this quality of culture thing made us feel that any entrepreneur will have to be willing to look at an artisan as not a service or an artifact provider, but one would have to look at them as a human being they are trying to take along. They are a part of this big thing that you're building, and you will have to provide. Have to provide.
Maybe a partner. Take
a partner. Yes, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And we, in our case, our business model and all that was completely. We can give up to 35 rupees in a 70 rupees mask to an artisan. So we really built that business model for them. But still, they just, I mean, this group after group would tell us that we want to join you so that you can sell for us. And we were thinking that they are joining us so that they can sell for themselves, right? Even today, when I am in Delhi on weekends, I go to the Hastakala Academy to learn an art or two and still get to know more artisans. So I love these people. But
Yes.
I realize that collectively, if we don't recognize what we will, an entrepreneur would have to do and what artisans would have to do to come meet together, we're not going to crack this problem.
Thank you, sir, once again for joining this. And we had a lot of rescheduling, and there was issues from our side as well. But you have been so grateful to accommodate this in your schedule and give us time. And it is always interesting to hear your perspective on handicrafts, considering that you have been a keen observer of this space. Once again, from the entire Catalyst team, from all the startups who have joined, everybody who's joined on social media as well, a great heartfelt gratitude for this session, and thank you for taking out time.
Thank Dipanshu, thank you. And first of all, a big thank you to all the entrepreneurs who are doing something for the artisans. My big heartfelt thanks to you, for all this effort. We are here at Atal Innovation Mission, always willing to help. So please reach out. We're happy to make connections where we have them and all of that. So please reach out for that. And once again, today's session, I was only sharing what I know. As I mentioned at the very beginning, I am not an expert in this space, but I have a keen interest in it. That's for sure. And so I hope to do my bit as much as I can for it.
Thank you, sir. And we look forward to having you at Catalyst and interact with these handicraft companies very soon.
I look forward to it as well. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Bye-bye.